Hey, the new Taliban Code of Conduct is out. You know what that means? The old ones are going to be available for half price soon. This is something that the Taliban appears to have been doing since at least 2006, when Newsweek got hold of that year's version of the rules. We know there's a new one out because a reporter for the Associated Press apparently got one off of a Taliban fighter in the Afghan town of Spin Boldak. Now, the booklet is a list of rules the Taliban at least say they want their fighters to abide by as they fight the infidel foreign troops and as they undermine the Afghan government and try to take over Afghanistan again, even though most Afghan people really freaking hate them. A lot of the rules are things like who you're allowed to kill. There's a lot about trying not to hurt civilians, instructions about when it's okay to, say, steal a car, and when you're not allowed to steal it, you're only allowed to blow it up. Western sources consider the Taliban Code of Conduct to essentially be better propaganda about how the Taliban would like to be seen than it is a realistic description of how the Taliban really act. Now, that said, I don't know. I don't know what the propaganda value of some of these rules in this Taliban rulebook could be, which is what I want to talk about with this. Take this item from the rulebook, for example. This appeared in last year's edition of the booklet. Quote, the physical appearance of mujahideen, e.g. haircut, dress, shoes, etc., should be based on Islamic Sharia and matched with local inhabitants. It will ensure their safety as well as residents of the respective village and town. So think about that for a second. They're saying if you blend in with the locals, Taliban fighters, that will keep those locals safer while NATO is hunting you down. Nice sentiment, totally illogical and incoherent, but still. There's also this one, first reported in the Taliban rules from 2006, quote, no person in a position of responsibility is allowed to use jihadi equipment and property for his personal interest. In other words, do not abuse your mujahideen corporate card. So like I said, some of this stuff is of questionable propaganda value. But a couple of the Taliban's rules, I think, could have value for the people who are fighting against the Taliban. Part of the counterterrorism strategy in Afghanistan right now is to, of course, kill Taliban leaders, both for the intrinsic military value of killing them, but also to demoralize low-ranking Taliban foot soldiers so they don't ever want to become higher-ranking leaders, because that's, frankly, a really risky job. The other approach to Taliban foot soldiers is reintegration, not just making the Taliban a deadly, no-future kind of job, but also offering incentives for Taliban foot soldiers to leave the Taliban. President Karzai in Afghanistan recently announced a big reintegration fund to literally pay Taliban fighters to quit, to lure them out of the Taliban with money. I propose, after reading these rules, that they should also try luring Taliban fighters away with cigarettes. Seriously, the AP reports this week that the Taliban rules of conduct ban smoking. All mujahideen are forbidden from smoking cigarettes. Also, beards are now mandatory. Any mujahideen who does not want to grow a beard has to get a special exemption from whoever they get a special exemption from. But beards are a must, and smoking is verboten. No Taliban are allowed to smoke. This seems like it might have some strategic value. Even if they're dressing to blend in with the locals, the newly not allowed to smoke, forced to have a beard Taliban guys, think about it. They'll be the ones who are armed and dangerous, but also irritable. Maybe putting on a little weight. They'll have itchy necks. Think how susceptible they might be to persuasion in that state. My friend, you don't really want to be in the Taliban anymore, do you? Can I offer you a cigarette? Are you itchy and hot? Is your mujahideen skin irritated by your forced facial hair? How about some fancy razors, fancy aftershave, soothing skin products for post-beard softness? And if you're not ready to commit, but you're annoyed enough by these rules that you're thinking about creature comforts offered by the world beyond your little nihilist death cult, consider nicotine gum. If you're not ready to shave yet, perhaps maybe a little manly touch-up of that beard that's so hot this time of year. Wouldn't you love to shave it? What do you think, NATO? Soft power. Persuasion. We can make more of these gift baskets. Call us.